In late November, the Milwaukee Bucks were short-handed and thus needed to sign players to play key rotational minutes and offset all of the injuries they've had thus far. One name that caught the headlines was DeMarcus Cousins, as many people celebrated his return to the NBA. Now, he wasn't the only one that was picked up by the Bucks. You also have a G League player that had an outstanding couple of games for the Miami Heat's affiliated team in Sioux Falls. But as more people began to look into the story of Javonte Smart and monitor the developments around the Milwaukee Bucks roster, it quickly became overshadowed by what was an unprecedented amount of new and old faces coming into the NBA landscape. What was an opportunity that will come up once in a while for former NBA players and young G League prospects alike has now become an everyday occurrence. And there's no mistaking that this is all in tune with the holiday spirit, as the uncertainty that is looming the NBA world is giving rise to many of these guys' dreams coming true, and for others, a second chance that they never thought they'd see again. It began to feel like a Christmas miracle when guys like Isaiah Thomas and Lance Stephenson were called up by the NBA to play rotation minutes. And now we got players like Joe Johnson, Emmanuel Mudiay, and Derek Collison recently being called up by the Lakers. That is starting to feel like every other player that I used to play in the 2010s are going to be called up at any point now. I mean, unless you watch any of Treese's videos, you may not know this, but Greg Monroe is still in the G League at this moment, playing for the Capital City Go-Go's. And then you also have guys like Mario Chalmers still playing in the G League, and they're still trying to get their names called up in the NBA, and this may be their best chance at it. And what's even more of an awesome story to me is that this is not even taking away spots for new up-and-coming players. A lot of these guys that we're seeing in the league right now, we've never seen before. They never expected to be there as well. When the Nets faced the Magic last week, there was a total of 17 players available for both teams combined, okay? Not just for one team. 9 players available for the Magic, 8 players available for the Nets. Guys like Kessler Edwards and David Duke Jr. were starting for the Nets, okay? And guys like Chuma Okeke and Michael Mulder were starting for the Magic. And you have players like Aleem Ford and Hassani Gravett who were called up recently by the Magic to play games like these because of how short-handed they were. Aleem Ford was doing laundry during a day off when he received a text that he could be playing in the NBA anytime soon. Like, that's how shocking this is. And I don't think people understand how big and how life-changing this is for many of these guys. Not only is this a dream come true for many of these players, but these guys are able to make such life-changing amounts of money in 10 days, okay? Just to compare to the G League. The base salary for a full season in the G League is roughly $37,000. In the 10 days that these guys are being signed to in the NBA, they're getting roughly $60,000. And not only that, you have to remember, these guys are given an opportunity to impress the NBA teams that they're in, and potentially even get a roster spot for the rest of the season. So that means they can earn hundreds upon hundreds of thousands more dollars for one season, and that alone is more money than these guys and their families have ever seen in their lives. But it's not just the Magic, guys. This is spreading everywhere, and the Raptors, they've had to make some signings that at first may be head-scratching, but you realize with the amount of COVID cases and the amount of players out for the Raptors, they had to make these signings. They added players like Brandon Goodwin, Jerwan Morgan, Nick Stauskas, and Tremont Waters on 10-day contracts. Okay, some of these guys have never even played in the NBA. Others, like Nick Stauskas and Tremont Waters, they've already seen floor time, but this is a second chance again to have more minutes in a team. Mind you, this isn't just smaller market teams or, lesser teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. No, I already talked to you guys about how David Duke Jr. and Kessler Edwards were literally starting games for the Brooklyn Nets. And then for the Lakers, they signed players like Mason Jones, Jay Huff, Chauncey Brown to two-way contracts. Although Chauncey Brown has been released as of a couple days ago, as Jay Huff was looking like the better player, and they also signed Jeremiah Jones to a 10-day hardship contract. And the Lakers were playing the Spurs the other night and they lost because guys like Keita Bates-Diop dropped 30 with perfect shooting. Like, he was shooting 11 of 11 from the field, and it was amazing to watch. You also had Jock Landale from the bench for the Spurs, who scored a career-high 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and he was playing only 15 minutes. That surely made a great impression on Greg Popovich. But unfortunately, as things were looking brighter for many of these G League prospects, now the doors have even closed for them to even play in the G League, as the season has been paused due to the outbreaks that have been occurring both in the NBA and in the G League respectively. And this is a situation that's so fluid and rapidly changing that half of the players I've named in this video might not even be in the NBA as we're celebrating the new year. And that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to make this video today, because we're going to look back on this as a cataclysmic period for many life-altering moments for many of these young guys and old guys alike. And that's not to disrespect any of the guys I refer to as old, but all those guys that we're seeing come back to the NBA, they're not in their prime anymore, and they're not the same players that they used to be at their best. And the players that are going to take their spots eventually as they get older are players right now that we're seeing not just coming out of the G League, but coming into the NBA draft. I mean, I haven't even began to speak about the outstanding play of some of these rookies and sophomores coming into the NBA. It's just amazing to watch the development and to see what the future holds for this league. Alperen Şengün is a player that already has a rabid fan base. I mean, this guy, not just in his home country of Turkey, but guys all over the world. I mean, I've seen so many YouTube videos dedicated to this man, and just how unique of a player he is. People love to rave about his per 36 stats, and that's to highlight how much he does with the few minutes he plays. And there are rookies out there playing over 32 minutes a game like Franz Wagner that are taking full advantage of it. I mean, this guy averaging almost 15 points a game with almost 5 rebounds per game, and on the defensive end, he's no slouch. I mean, this guy averages over 1 steals a game and already does a decent job at defending guys from multiple positions at 6'9", and as if it couldn't get better, this guy can also play make. And it's not like this kid was picked first by a tanking team and was made the franchise guy right off the bat. No. He was picked 8th by the Orlando Magic, and not just that, he wasn't even the highest picked player the Magic had during that draft. So in a year where we're seeing a lot of old faces back in the NBA, we're also seeing how the future is going to be shaped by these new faces that we're seeing. And so as the year 2021 comes to an end, and as the NBA celebrates 75 years of greatness, let us take the time right now to appreciate all of the opportunities that are being given to so many guys in the NBA right now. Although it is frustrating to watch basketball games where half of the players you see you've never seen before, you know that for many of these guys, this is life-changing, this is life-altering, and over the next couple of years, we may be seeing some storylines that we never would have seen if the season had gone on in a predictable manner. And hey, who knows? We may finally see Jeremy Lin play in the NBA again. Wouldn't that be fun?